G'day, and welcome to the AHDC podcast series, Health Design on the Go. I'm your host, David Cummins, and today we are speaking to Hedyeh Gamini, who is a PhD candidate at Deakin University in Australia. Hedyeh has performed multiple research, including the role of child-friendly spaces after disasters and the Young Maggie Centre, which I think will be very interesting today as we discuss the importance of design for children and families with life-limiting conditions. Hedyeh is a member of the Centre for Humanitarian Leadership Affiliates and is a world traveller and advocate for change in the world, especially in her home country of Iran. Welcome, Hedyeh. Thank you for your time.
Hi, thank you.
We've sort of been talking on and off for a few months now, and it's hard to find you in the same country more than once. You seem to be traveling a lot. You're doing a lot of study. You're doing a lot of work for Iran. You're a voice of change. Do you mind telling people who don't necessarily know about you and your research, your journey, and how that led to your research, please?
Yes, sure. I'm pleased to share the journey that led me to my current research focus on designing healing spaces for terminally ill children. As a graduate of architecture with a concentration in child-friendly environments, I've always been passionate about creating environments that support children's growth and development. My bachelor's final project entitled Children's Creativity Development, which was a testament to this passion. After graduation, I had the opportunity to collaborate with MAHAC, which is a non-governmental organization in Tehran dedicated to supporting children with cancer. And this experience provided me with a unique perspective as I was able to observe the lives of children and their families, including the pain and suffering they endure. This had a profound impact on me and shaped my worldview. And I'm now dedicated to making a difference in the lives of terminally ill children through my research and PhD. Actually, I pondered how I could combine my experience working with vulnerable children and my architecture major. My goal was to make a positive impact in this field. I eventually decided to focus on post disaster reconstruction during my master's degree. My master's thesis was about the role of child friendly spaces in the process of disaster reconstruction, and I chose Bam City in Iran as a case study. I traveled to Bam and interviewed children who had experienced the earthquake, along with their teachers and individuals from organizations. This project reinforced my belief that architecture is a multidisciplinary field and gave me a unique opportunity to apply my knowledge in a real life context involving architecture and children. Upon completing my master's degree, I remained focused on the environment and well being of vulnerable children. I'm now pursuing my PhD and working on my proposal for Young Maggie Center, which aims to create healing spaces for terminally ill children and their parents. My research aims to understand how we can adapt Maggie Center for children.
So, for those of you, especially in Australia, who are not really aware of what the Young Maggie Centre is, do you mind explaining what it is, how important and significant it is to the Iran community, and why you chose to work on that?
Yeah, sure. Maggie Centers are a network of UK-based cancer support centers that offer free practical, emotional, and social support to people with cancer and their families. They were founded by Maggie Jenks, who died of cancer in 1995, and her husband Charles Jenks, an architectural writer and critic. And Maggie Centers are designed by renowned architects, including Frank Gehry, Zaha Hadid, Richard Rogers, to provide a welcoming and uplifting environment for people with cancer. Maggie centers are located close, but actually separate from NHS hospitals and offer a range of services, including relaxation and stress management, nutrition, exercise advice, and support group. And these centers aim to create warm and inviting atmosphere and to provide a supportive and comforting environment for people with cancer and offering a break from clinical atmosphere of traditional hospitals. They offer different spaces, including shared areas for gathering, private rooms for conversations, spaces for group activities, and contemplative areas with views of nature. One of the key design features of Maggie Centers is the kitchen table. a central gathering space where patients, families, and staff can come together to share meals, socialize, and engage in activities. These spaces is significant because it provides a warm and inviting environment for people to connect and build relationships, helping to ease the burden of illness and improve the overall well-being of patients and their families. And another significant aspect of Maggie centers is their connection to nature, providing access to nature and incorporating it into the design can have numerous benefits for patients and their families, including reducing stress levels and enhancing mental well-being and these kind of things. And the centers offer a therapeutic environment for healing and recovery with features such as natural light, a variety of plants and greenery, and outdoor spaces for patients and their families so that they can enjoy their time. So, in my research, I would like to examine how these Maggie centers can be adapted for children and provide a supportive environment for their healing and recovery process.
Yeah, it's an important topic, and you certainly touched on things there that are well, not necessarily basic, but are certainly becoming more prevalent and more important architectural principles about design, about health and healing, about how it's not just a building now, but how the connection to nature and the connection to natural light and the connection for making sure that a building is built for the needs of the users. So, what do you think your research has helped you shape in reference to your design philosophy? Have you learned a lot more and changed as an architect based on your research?
Maggie, who was the co-founder of these spaces, she herself was a landscape architect. And I appreciate Maggie as an architect because despite facing death as a terminally ill patient, she was still thinking about designing a healing space. To me, this shows her insightful and intelligent perspective on both life and death and highlights the significance of the space patients experience before death. As human beings, we all face death, but this subject is often neglected due to the pain and bitterness associated with this. But Maggie's personal experiences have driven her to focus on this topic. The philosophy and place of dying is very valuable among philosophers and critics, with many arguing that the place and quality of dying is meaningful. Places for the end of life, sometimes linked to our last homes, have consistently reflected these sentiments, particularly in hospice settings. Hospice is a type of end of life care that provides comfort and support to individuals who have a terminal illness and are no longer seeking curative treatment. The goal of hospice is to improve the quality of life for both the patients and their family by addressing physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical needs. And hospice care is usually provided in patient's home or in a hospice settings too. So in the meantime, also this can happen in the home. Regarding cancer patients, it's recognized that the first experience of cancer is one where all sense of normality is lost temporarily. A homely setting, which is supportive for the patient, can help someone resolve such issue and become like a second home. Hospice movement embraced the tradition of domestic architecture in rejecting hospital institutional architecture and accepted the idea of homely space for terminally ill patients. The notion of the hospice as a homely place for terminally ill patients, I can say, emerges as a key idea associated with Maggie centers, both as an architectural place and as a philosophy of care. When I was reading about hospice and the production of space and with focusing on this kind of topics, I encountered the insightful book, The Production of Hospice Space, Conceptualizing the Space of Caring and Dying by Sarah McGann. Sarah McGann offers a unique perspective on the concept of hospice. It challenges the commonly held belief that a hospice is merely a physical location and instead argues that it should be viewed as a philosophy of care. According to Sarah McGann, the environment in which a person dies is crucial in providing comfort to both the person and their family. So, this highlights the close relationship between place, identity, and memory. And this book also emphasizes the impact that the physical space of hospice can have on the experience of dying with dignity and argues that this impact has previously been underestimated. The author believes that a hospice, whether it be a standalone facility, a part of a hospital or nursing home, or in the home, is defined by its spatial practices. So spatial practices become important here, and that these practices are critical to providing a holistic approach to hospice care. So these spatial practices are seen as a part of a larger process that encompass architectural, social, conceptual, and theoretical aspects. So the book by Sarah McGann is a seminal resource for my study. The author provides a comprehensive examination of the concept of hospice space and employs a social spatial analysis using Henri Lefebvre's theoretical framework. And McGann critically analyzes the selected hospices utilizing Lefebvre's three spatial themes of perceived, conceived, and lived spaces that are terminologies that Lefebvre used in his book, The Production of Space, to achieve a comprehensive and balanced analysis of the production of hospice. So these theories were really important in my thesis.
Yeah, that's really interesting. You have obviously done a lot of research into this space of end of life care and the importance of facilities for not only patients but their families. What has your research found, and how can we, as researchers and health planners and designers and developers, what can we do to try and implement some of your research to our project?
Yeah. So what's really important in my thesis is the experience of the users and the lived experience of the users, which shouldn't be underestimated. So I wanted to figure out how the user's experience is aligned with what was the intention of the architect and what was in the brief of the Maggie Center. As I've said, according to Lefebvre, who is a French philosopher and sociologist known for his critique of everyday life and his introduction of the concepts of the right to the city and the production of space, there are three moments of space: perceived, conceived, and lived. These moments are interrelated and play a role in shaping the production of space. The perceived moment refers to the immediate sensory experience of space, which is characterized by physical and perceptual qualities such as shape, size, color, and light. The conceived moment involves the mental perception and understanding of space. And the lived moment refers to the active use in habitation and production of space in daily life and encompassing social practices, relationships, and meanings attached to specific spaces and how space is lived and experienced by individuals and communities. So Lefebvre believes that space is not static, and these three moments of space interact and shape one another. So this was really important in my thesis, and I wanted to understand these statics in these relations in Maggie centers. So the experience of the users was also very important for me. In my research, I strive to consider not just the children undergoing treatment, but also their parents, siblings, and families. Therefore, I recognize the significance of hearing the lived experiences of not only the patients, but also the family members. So this analysis places a strong emphasis on the spatial experiences and social practices of the users of the Maggie Center. I examine the correlation between the architect's vision and the user's experience, focusing not only on the designs, plans, and intentions, but also on the lived experiences. To gain a comprehensive understanding, I created two graphs: the should graph, which reflects the architect's intention, vision, brief, and philosophy, and the is graph, which focuses on the objective aspects of the user's experience, feelings, and activities. By comparing these graphs and identifying where the user's experiences align with the architect's intention, the success parameters of Maggie centers would be determined. And through analyzing these graphs, I aim to uncover the themes in the brief and the architect's intention that are reflected in the user's experiences in the Maggie centers. And yeah, so that could give me a broad vision about the Maggie Center.
That's phenomenal. Just before we go, what would be one of your biggest take home messages for people listening when it comes to the design of such an important and sensitive space?
The most important thing about the healthcare and healing spaces is to pay attention to the experience of the users. For example, we cannot just say that because Maggie centers are centers that are designed by famous architects, there are necessarily successful spaces. We should understand the experience of the users of any space to then get the feeling that if that space was successful or not. And for my thesis, after understanding the success parameters of the Maggie centers, what I want to do, which I can say is the ultimate goal of my research, is that I want to create a blueprint or brief for a young Maggie center. This blueprint will not be like the traditional blueprints that only focus on the physical specs of the space, like such color and dimensions. Instead, it will be unique, taking into account intangible elements as well. These intangible elements could include the atmosphere and the emotional impact that the center creates for its users. So, by including both tangible and intangible elements in the blueprint, I aim to create a comprehensive and innovative approach to designing a young Maggie centers, which is the Center for Children who are suffering from cancers and their families.
Thank you so much for your time, for being able to share your research. It's a very hard topic to discuss sometimes, but obviously something that a lot of families are going to experience at one point in time, if not every family is going to experience a point in time to be in a palliative care centre. So I just want to thank you so much for your research and your passion to really unveil the best way to help design and to care for patients who are at the end of life, and especially for children. So thank you so much for your dedication to this topic, because I think it's something that more people need to be aware of. So all the best with your future research, and thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you for your time, and I wish you a great time.
You have been listening to the Australian Health Design Council podcast series, Health Design on the Go. If you'd like to learn more about the AHDC, please connect with us on our website or LinkedIn. Thank you for listening.